What was the response of the fans, overall to the Night Eternal album? Like, what were you hearing from the fans? Like, what were their opinions on that
Yeah, it
album?
was really overwhelming. I think that especially with the last two albums, Memorial and Night Eternal, which are more focused albums in a way, not so experimental. I think even though it's very different, again, I think people really, looked at Moonspell again as a band to follow up. So Memorial, the previous album, then Night Eternal was really successful, and the Night Eternal just went the same way. We tried to change a little bit on this album. People know we hate to repeat music from album to album.
Hmm.
For us, it's doesn't like excite us or challenge us.
Right.
And I think music is quite of a challenge, to overcome yourself in a way. And of course, we try to make more songs, more melodic, more atmospheric songs on Night Eternal, but we still kept all the enthusiasm and all the headbanging moments of Memorial. So it was a nice step, and people were really enthusiastic about um, the album, and the response was really good, on both sides of the continent. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Now, and I was listening to it today, and it definitely sounds great. So,
All right, cool.
yeah.
A lot of people call us gothic metal, and I think that's not totally like untrue in a way. The bad thing is that gothic metal is now, connected with bands that are not as heavy or as dark as Moonspell, and sometimes they are even poppier bands. Because I think if it wasn't for these bands, I think gothic metal and for all the trend will be a very good label to suit us, because we draw influences from all the classic metal bands, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden. For me, those are the classics,
Sure.
not musically
Hmm.
speaking, and all the '90s bands like Summer and Tiamat and Typo Negative and all these bands. But we always had especially in the mid '90s, a foot in the gothic music with Fields of the Nephilim and Sisters of Mercy, the deep vocals, the atmospheric. I would say something in between gothic or dark or atmospheric metal,
Hmm.
but it still rocks in a way.
Yeah.
That's very important for us to keep the energy of the music. And sometimes I find that if you just do this one-dimension gothic music, it can get very dull and cheesy in a way.
Hmm.
So we try to have contrast, and we try to have something that it's alive in the gothic metal scene.
And
We like rock as well, so sometimes metal people just divorce themselves from the rock scene,
Mhm.
which is not the case, because we listen to all the great rock bands, and I think rock is about making your heart pound faster, and I think dynamics is very important in music, yeah, especially when you play live. You don't want to be there. It's not a poetry saying, it's a rock and roll show.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't want to play at mezzo forte the whole time, or
No.
fortissimo or pianissimo.
Yeah.
You want to vary
Of
it.
course,
And
of
so
course.
it makes sense.
Moonspell is very, yeah.
Dynamic. Yeah,
Yeah,
you got to
I
have the
think so.
contrast.
We try at least, yeah.
Hmm. No, it's good, and I think the keyboards always, if they're used properly, which you guys do a good job with it. Just like Jimmy Borgir does, and everything, it really adds that extra layer to it, and really helps with the whole atmospheric, and ethereal part of music. So.
I think so, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, it comes from our influences as well. A lot of the bands didn't have like the keyboard on stage, but the metal was always very renowned by the arrangement of
Mhm.
music. Some of them even, classical, some of them progressive, but made by strings or keyboards, which was like, probably the cheapest way to get this grand feeling was to have keyboards. And fortunately, Pedro, our keyboard guitar play is very unique in his way of approaching music. He has the right influences, not only from classic, but also from bands like Fields of the Nephilim, for instance. And he searches his own sounds and tries to create his own atmosphere. It's a lot of work. Sometimes it goes unnoticed, but I think, yeah, as you say, it brings the music to some place other than just the guitars and the flesh and bone of metal, in a way. So I think, yeah, all that can make our music sound greater and a little bit more dreamful in a way. I think that's quite important. Keyboards are there's many ways of using keyboards. There's so many metal bands now with keyboards. I think we use it in a very classic way, like if we were playing with an orchestra or a piano player or something like that. We don't do a lot of you know, this kind of follow up the music. We don't use the keyboards like a guitar. We use the keyboards like they should be used, you know, more classical in a way.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like Dream Theater would, and some
Yeah.
places people like that. So that's good. Let's see. I don't know if you're familiar with bucket lists, like a bucket list, like something that
I've seen the movie.
Yeah, you saw the movie. See, I haven't seen the movie, so you're already one step. Are
20 things to do before I die. Or
exactly.
Something like
Do you have like one or two things that would make your bucket list? Something that you would like to do before you pass away?
wow, plenty.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm a kind of a metaphorical guy. I cannot have this concrete list of skydiving or be with 1,000 women at a time or something like that. I don't have that. But to be honest, I think that to live as full as we can, I think that's my complete bucket list. To live as much as I can, because life is too short. For once, that's definitely something true. And on the other hand, we tour so much and we work so much that sometimes we forget there's something else that we should take care of, because if not, it comes back to music that you're not so inspired or so willing to do that. So I think to live as much as I can will be definitely alpha and omega on my list. Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, now plans after this tour. I know you already said that you have dates booked into December and then a new album coming out. So
I think with Moonspell, we will have a couple of shows still, but we want to. It never ends. We never close like the tours. We just close the tour when the new album is ready. But we'll keep it a little bit more easy up to the end of the year, because we want to have one of our producers there, Valdemar, that produced All Fart and Irreligious and also Memorial, to play with us for a week, to listen to our ideas, to do a kind of a pre-production. So I think that's the plans for Moonspell, and a couple more shows. We have a big show in just right after the tour. After the North American tour, we will also go to Mexico and Argentina and Colombia. All the Latin America tour will be there for a couple of weeks, and then Portugal, and then I think there's some shows lined up like Bulgaria and Macedonia and all of that. And in the meanwhile, I'll have shows with another project. And of course, it's been 2 years without a vacation, so I'll probably go to, I don't know, Punta Cana or something like that.
Nice.
Put the bracelet on and just be there drunk for
Club
7.
Med, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I never did that. I always did cultural tourism, so probably I need it now.
Just take a cruise
somewhere
somewhere
like that. Something corny. Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah.
That sounds good. That's a good way to unwind, so for sure. Yeah, that way you have no plans. You just do as much or as little as you want to do.
Yeah.
You lay on the beach. Yeah, done.
But in the shadow all the time.
Exactly. And then, what message do you have for the Moonspell fans?
Well, first we cannot be ungrateful, and we have to start by thanking them, because it's our 9th time here in the state. We've been a couple of times also here in the Florida state, and obviously it's a slow progression, because I think that we have a very loyal fan base that grows slowly year by year, tour by tour. So we are doing it the old school way, like having a fan almost conquered every day, every show we have played. So I think we have to be very grateful to people that take time and money with a crisis to come to the shows, even though we try to keep the tickets the lower possible. So it's reasonable, and for them to stay tuned, I'll write a little tour reports like I do all the time, where I have a lot of feedback. I will not finish it, because I never did finish the tour report that I have started, but it's nice observations. It's like travel literature, but from the rock point of view. And obviously, stay tuned for the new album, because I think that will be already I have tried a couple of ideas. I think it's going to be one of our finest. Yeah.